it will crumbling down again and it will shut down. That's what he said. They've reduced the number of faculties from 35 to 11, the number of courses from 579 to 300 and something there, and then they've also increased school fees, which led to protests yesterday by the students on the module 2, saying that they cannot afford it and this is not the right time for it. Cherargei, what do you think is going on at the University of Nairobi? What is the best way of dealing with this?
I think it is challenging that universities, and you saw the Auditor General flagging them that they are on the red. It is balancing, but I think it is in bad taste that University of Nairobi would want to increase school fees at this point in time. You remember we are in the middle of pandemic and economic recovery is very key. So from where I sit, I have seen the Vice Chancellor who was on your show saying it will not affect the ongoing or already admitted students. But if we want education for all and equity and equality for all, we must be practical. I agree that universities are struggling to stay afloat, to be able to run quality learning, to get the proper learning materials, latest, to be precise. But also the reforms of university should not only be about fees, it should also be about the content, the curriculum. You remember some courses that we still offer in university are so irrelevant to what we need as a country, like issues of anthropology, for example, learning the history of mankind. Is it necessary in this time and age? Because we need also to ensure the reforms that we are doing in the universities, apart from ensuring they are well-resourced, is to ensure we offer courses or faculties that are very relevant to our economy, that are relevant to now and the future, like technology courses, business courses, many other courses that will assist growing. But when you continue giving out courses that are not relevant and up-to-date in terms of our economy. So I agree that I think the University of Nairobi should hold on the increase of school fees. I think this is a conversation, it should not only be about University of Nairobi, it should be along universities. And I agree that even as the hard economic times hit our universities, you know, PSSP now has been transited into more of regular program. We have Higher Education Loan Board funding. And if you want to increase the school fees for the university, and then Higher Education Loan Board must increase the allocation they give to their students, so that because most of the Higher Education Loan Board applicants or the higher educations that we are giving to students is because those students do not have capacity and ability to pay their school fees. Yeah. Secondly, in this issue of school fees, we also having Form 1s joining, most parents now are enrolling their children to Form 1. And also I've seen the government has tried to reduce the fees paid for secondary schools across the country. But I want to appeal to government that they need to be vigilant. Especially I've seen allegations where principals now are using other methods to increase the same amount of money, calling them motivation fees, calling them, what do you call, where you visiting fees, or where students are supposed to go to national park or what have you. So even as the government reduces school fees for Form 1 intake, we must agree that they need to be vigilant so that we are not reducing officially, but behind the scenes some principals who are rogue are increasing the same school fees. And you know, I think this issue of school fees, especially joining Form 1 and secondary schools, even as we have a term 1 in July, because it was affected, the calendar year of 2020 was affected, is that we must agree that the government must be, and I want to appeal to the CS in charge of education, that he must ensure, when he said that no child should be sent home because of school fees, then it must be so, because there is a reason as to why parents are not paying school fees. It's because of hard economic times. Many parents have lost their job issues. We expect bursaries from county governments and even the CDF bursaries, the affirmative fund bursaries, so that they can allow our students to be able to join Form 1 and be able to continue with learning. Okay. But I agree it is not in good faith that fees should be increased in UN. I stand in solidarity with the comrades that it's not the right time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wanga?
Yeah, I think, Trevor, if you look at how our university education has evolved, I think it's coming from the days when, you know, going to the university was a privilege fully funded by the government. I think in those years of boom, you know, you went and you had sausages and you had, you know, government really invested because you didn't have as many students going to the university. Then now, you know, came a time when students had to start cooking for themselves in universities and so on and so forth. Then you had help, which was not given to everyone. It was just, you know, those who are assessed and needy and so on. And then, so I just wanted to contextualize that as we speak today, the issue of funding of our universities, and it's not just the University of Nairobi, it's our universities across board. I think University of Nairobi is just the one that has reached the melting point quickly because of its size and so on. So it's a matter that we need a conversation on. And I think the CS for education and stakeholders should begin a conversation around the issue of capitation, because capitation has reduced. Universities expanded, you know, when the cutoff point went very high, and therefore many students were left out and they started going to parallel programs. When this was, when Matiang'i grades came in, then you know, now you have C+ is actually accepted into universities and nobody is going to parallel programs. And therefore, the universities were supported a lot by these parallel programs or privately sponsored. So it's a conversation, not just for the University of Nairobi, it's a conversation for the entire university fraternity for as far as funding of our universities are concerned. Because universities have also mushroomed. I mean, almost every place has a university now. So Trevor, of course, coming back to the issue of increase of fees, perhaps that is not the way, especially at this point, but this conversation must be had. I mean, I've been a student leader myself, and it's very easy to say comrade power, and you know, and so on. You know, we've been on that road. But right now, from a policy perspective, we must think about the broader issues, and it's a big problem. I know we have had some side conversations with my colleagues in Parliament around the issue, and University of Nairobi has come on. Let's have this conversation broadly. And I think the CS should lead it, or our Committee on Education in Parliament, so that we begin to have it and see how to salvage our universities. Otherwise, soon, those big things you see shining will crumble.
All right.
Very quickly, you know, the main problem right now is that these fees are growing, are being increased at a time when the economy is not doing very well in terms of more money in the pocket. Majority of students who are doctors come from very poor backgrounds. Wametoka nyumba ya matope, wametoka nyumba ya bricks uko Ushago. The kid has passed, ameenda university. The parents have nothing. They are looking at this kid as the hope. Huyu atasoma kuwa daktari, angalau atuletee kitu tusilale njaa, tupate kawa fast TV and every, you know, this is the normal state of Kenya. So when you hear the fees have risen, and the kid knows mahali ametoka, hakuna kitu, and now you're being told that you're killing, your dream is being killed, you feel like the society is against you. And it's because we have not created a middle class. We've not created those cushions I was talking about to enable people to be able to go forward. The second thing is that, you know, we have to look at it. The timing is wrong, because also we need to put money into medical care. And I'm very passionate about health. That's why Machakos health is free. That is why I provide ambulances. That's why I work so hard for healthcare. Health is critical. But if you look at the World Health Organization statistics, they tell you that the ratio between a patient and a doctor, the ideal one should be 1 to 1,000. A country like India is 1 to 1,456. A country like Cuba is 1 to 67. That means for 67, every 67 people there's a doctor. That means you get quality education. And these developed countries, Germany, 1 to 38. To every 38 people, there's a medical doctor in Germany. Means you're getting quality healthcare. Doctors can spend more time with you. They have time to think outside the box, experiment, and be able to treat you. That's why we send our people to those countries, because of those. So we should be investing more to getting that ratio done. In Kenya, the ratio currently is 1 to 16,000. 1 doctor to 16,000 patients. Some people will never be seen by a medical doctor in this country. It's not possible. So we should be talking about it being 1 to 1,000, 1 to 500. And the way to do this is to pump money into medical school so we can have more people joining to be doctors in our society.
Yeah.
Because once you take care of medical issues, the rest will take care of themselves.
Okay.
And lastly, it is also important for universities not just to depend on funding from the government. When I studied in Australia, for example, my doctorate, my department was mostly funded by outsiders.
Yeah.
And then that's where you do research. You know, you sit down with Toyota and say, we're going to make for you a new form of piston here in Nairobi. We're going to do research. They fund you with that research because you've shown the ability to do it. And part of that funding now is used to cushion the fees for other students across the board. We should be talking about coming up with new vaccines. So we're just teaching students to be doctors, but we're not supporting research. And now they say, well, you've not given us money, you've not... but, you know, let me tell you, money follows attitude. And money follows ability. Unaangalia watu wanasema, umeona ule jamaa hana kitu lakini amechukua mabati akatengeneza kiti. Mabati amechukua mabati ametengeneza kiti. What say, let's like tutafutie jamaa pesa. Those guys who are found by the president who are making beds. Watu wakasema, ai, wamejaribu bana. They don't have money, let's give them money. But if you come up with effort, with your small effort here with your bands and banners at the University of Nairobi and say, we've come up with a special cure, we've come up with this with little money, company will say, these guys are serious, let's give them money because wameonyesha effort.
Right.
Lakini kukaa tu nisema wacha nipate pesa kwanza ndio effort itoke, hakuna kitu kama hiyo.
Yes.
So they must do that. But at the end of the day, I understand where the students are coming from, but we need to sit down, as Mheshimiwa Wanga has said, to look at this decision of how to fund. But we need more doctors in this country. And not only doctors in this country, we need doctors that are also taken care of properly, who have medical insurance, and who are also given an ability to work. And then we also need our doctors to work, so they can take care of our people.
All right. Let's take closing remarks real quick. And Cherargei, I'll start with you, a minute each.
Thank you. Three things I want to mention is, one, I want to wish the people of Kiambaa all the best as they elect their next member of National Assembly, and appeal them to be peaceful, and appeal to IBC and other agencies to ensure that the voting goes on as scheduled. And of course, I want to wish my brother, almost my age mate, our UDA candidate John Njuguna Wanjiku all the best, and we hope for the best as UDA. Secondly is on the issue of judiciary. I want to appeal to Justice, the Chief Justice Martha Koome, not to get into the fight with the National Assembly over the role of oversight. I would appeal, we have worked before closely as a parliament with judiciary. I am the biggest defender of judiciary. I want to appeal to her that some of those things she does not need to fight openly. She can engage the National Assembly and ensure judiciary and parliament work closely, because we complement each other. We appreciate the independence of judiciary, the parliament and the executive. But my advice to her, she should not chew. She should not bite more than she can chew. And there is a lot that is at stake. Finally, is on the issue of the fuel increase. I want to laud IPRA for the first time that at least with the challenges that the country is facing, we agree with them that it's not the right time to have fuel hike. And we hope the sellers and the retailers of the fuel across the country will take this directive seriously. We wouldn't want, and I hope IPRA will be more vigilant on this directive, because although there has been incompetence with IPRA, we saw last time trying to publish some names of agencies that do not, that they should not sell gases and many others across the country, which I found it illegal. But from where I sit, we want to appeal to IPRA not only to sit in Nairobi, but to do a spot check across the country and ensure that the directive of fuel not being hiked is being followed. And therefore, I wish all Kenyans the best, and let us continue praying for our country. This is our country that we must all live peacefully, one nation, one people, that we must always celebrate who we are.
Okay. Honorable Wanga?
Yeah, I think the issue of these gangs killing children, I think we need to arrest it as quickly as we can. It's unfortunate, it's sad, it's a red flag as far as the very fabric of our society as Kenyans. So I think let's deal with it as soon as possible, and then maybe I'll also just wish the people of Kiambaa a good day. we are rooting and we are backing Kariri Njama, and we do hope that at the end of the day, the people of Kiambaa will have this good chance to have a stable hands, to result in stable hands of Kariri. So wishing them all the best and a peaceful day. Thank you.
Okay. I have 5 just very, very quick points, and my first point is I wish the people of Kiambaa all the best. Vote for the person you think is the best. Vote for a person thinking about where you are as a community, and know that the rest of Kenya is looking at you and the behavior and the way you carry yourself. Number 2, and this is to the senators, and Senator Cherangai, maybe you can pass this forward. One of your senators was a bit unhappy that Honorable Raila Odinga accompanied the president to Kambani because we invited him, and said he should not come when the president comes, and tell him that that kind of primitive thinking is not there. That person does not speak, does not speak for the new Kenya. It is sycophancy, because all they care about is, so, and you know what their fear is? Their fear is when Raila, when Ruto, when others come with the president, they actually get to see the development that Mutua, Kibwana, Ngilu has done. Because these people who like sycophants, and some of us are not sycophants, keep on going and saying, he ni PR, he ni cinema, hakuna kitu umefanya. But when the president comes and others come, but the president is aware. When Raila comes, he was amazed. He said, wow. He saw the people spark. Wow. He saw the project you're doing. He said, hey, you have worked. Because he has seen it with his own eyes. Amekuwa akiambiwa stories zingine. So they are afraid that the truth, you know, will set the minds of other people free because they have been propagating propaganda. But I want to say, Raila Odinga, you're welcome to come to Kambani. Next time you come, you spend a night. We want Ruto to come with the president. We want Senator Cherangai to come. Wanga to come. We want everybody to come. The president is not an enclave of one person. I'm running for president myself. I don't want to go to a region and be told usikuje hapa. Usikuje hapa. I want to have the freedom to go everywhere. So that kind of primitive thinking is personal. It does not reflect the people of my region. Number 3, yesterday I hosted my grandmothers. These are women who are the same age as my late grandmother, women in their late 80s, 90s, close to 100. And they came, these are people who saw me as a kid, as a toddler, when I, you know, as an infant. They were actually there for when I was born. And they are now old women. And most of them were talking about, they were so happy because I brought them to the White House. And they're the only group I brought to the White House after the president. And they were very happy. And I told them, you know, I am who I am because of the love that you've shown to me. And I gave them blankets and other gifts. Somebody was saying, how are you can't be ashamed to give them blankets. No, I'm not ashamed to give my grandmother a blanket. It's a symbolic. You give grandmothers blankets where we come from. It's a cold season. It's a gift that you give to them, plus other gifts that we gave to them to say thank you. But the question I had was, these women have lived this old age, and they are old, and they are saying they're in the last years of their life. But have they lived a comfortable life? You know, because those women have starved. Those women have walked kilometers for water. Those women have suffered from diseases and seen some of their kids die because of preventable diseases. So it's not enough to have a long life. You need to have a long, comfortable life like they do in Japan. And that's why we have to change this country so that each one of us now will grow old having lived a comfortable life when you're young. And that is based on the choices that we make in terms of the leaders that we choose. Very sad about the children. And I agree that we need to crack the whip very, very fast. Heartbreaking as a parent because I know how that feels. And the youth of this country, and we have to remember at the end of the day, the future is with us. And now finally, I want to tell you a short funny story about hiring, because they're hiring in IBC, and about how we hire in this country, and I hope that's not what is happening. People applied for a job as the Chief Finance Officer of Treasury. And the first guy went, and he had qualifications. He had done Harvard Business School. He had worked for these big firms and everything. He was qualified, had done everything. Then akaulizwa na waziri na wengine, hebu fanye mahesabu spreadsheet. The guy akafanya mahesabu. What's the answer? Akasema 300 million, sir. Kamba, very good, we'll call you. Then the second guy came, alikuwa amesomea Yale, amefanya South Africa, amefanya na World Bank, anajui mambo yote, led companies from scratch to, akaulizwa maswali, akapita vizuri, akapewa spreadsheet. Fanya mahesabu, akafanya, kauza, how much is that? Akasema 300 million, sir. Kamba, yes, we'll call you. Then akakuja kajamaa kingine, koti iko loose namna hii, kameanguka mitihani kadhaa in Kenya, bado anafanya CPK kidogo, hajafanya sana, lakini amekuwa treasury for a long time, nini. Akajibu maswali hivi, akapatiwa spreadsheet, akasoma, akauliza what is the answer, what is the final figure, akauliza waziri, what figure do you want it to be? Waziri akasema hired. That's Kenya for you.
Thank you, Governor.
That's an interesting one.
Governor Machakos and Honorable Samson Cherargei, Nandi, Senator, and Gladys Wanga, Homa Bay Women Representative. Thank you so much for making time. That's where we leave it for now. But